life starts with a breath, maybe even with a spank, supposedly. But practice starts with bringing attention to breath. I notice practitioners often think they're paying attention to their breath. You're not really paying attention to your breath as expected in Buddhism. You're bringing attention to the physicality of breath. You're not born as an identity. You're not born as this is yogic culture. You're not born as an identity. You're not born as a already formed God-induced or something or other, a person, with a built-in self and all of that stuff. You're born and you start to breathe and you have attention. So attention becomes the tool of enlivening. Enlivening your living. So one basic is the reason they're not sitting there reasoning, I know this is a good reason to do this, but they've discovered that bringing attention to the physicality of the exhale, in contrast to, or some kind of contrast, to the physicality of the inhale, begins to develop attention. Attention evolves through bringing, giving, locating attention in the breath. There's a spectrum of physicality. It's not just the lungs or the diaphragm. You find when you breathe, your spine is involved. So the physicality of the breath, if we say not a word, I can't have a word for the physicality of the inhale or the physicality of the exhale, because when you bring attention to the physicality of the exhale, you begin to notice, oh boy, there's a heck of a lot of things going on here. And then when you shift and bring attention to the physicality of the inhale, my spine just moved. And then also there's not just the in and out breath, there's the kind of pause at the top of the cycle. This is all Buddhist teaching. And at the bottom of this turn, and how the diaphragm and your hara is at the bottom is part of the practice. And you discover the hara partly through bringing attention to the exhale. And you begin to transform yourself neurologically and proprioceptively. So I used to feel, well, probably, I was in my 20s, and I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know anything about Buddhism, really. I thought, well, probably psychology, studying the mind. And then after a while, I recognized Buddhism is much more a mindology than a psychology. But now I would say Buddhism is a neurology. It really transforms you neurologically. And you have to kind of know that, especially if you're a teacher, but you have to kind of know that because you have to speak to the neurological dynamics within the teachings. Physicality. And then that attention begins to explore the physicality. More and more, the attention begins to seep into the cells of the body. It's a kind of neurological invasion through attention, through attentionality. And this is part of what the Buddha means, the awakened one, and that awakening, the one who is awakened partly through waking up the body with attentionality. So I want to keep going back on, it's kind of visually to this. You feel attention, the attention to the exhale penetrating the exhaling body. And you feel the attention to the inhale penetrating the inhaling body. You don't have one body, you have an inhaling body and an exhaling body. And it begins to talk to each other, the two different bodies. And they come together in a kind of ongoingness of the body. So you have the different physicality of the exhale, the different physicality of the inhale, and then you have the body as a kind of ongoingness. So you have the expanding spectrum of the physicality of the exhale. And after a while you get, so your attention just doesn't leave your breath. You don't have to make any effort to bring your attention to your breath because your body's breathing. The breathing is attention. The breath, the inhale becomes attention. And that's when practice, you're born, you start to breathe, but you start to practice when you join attention and breath. There's a lot of other things that happen, but this is, like I would say, the most important initial engagement. And it's an engagement which is effective the more it becomes an engagement you inhabit.